Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, did the College Football Playoff Committee get it right picking Alabama over Ohio State? Plus reaction to Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski grabbing headlines for the wrong reasons. And should the Eagles still be the NFC favorites after losing to the Seahawks? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's start today with the college football controversy. For the fourth straight year, Alabama is headed to the college football playoff. Bama took the fourth spot ahead of Big Ten champion Ohio State, who beat undefeated Wisconsin on Saturday night. The Crimson Tide will get Clemson in the semifinals. Oklahoma and Georgia will meet in the other semifinal. Yesterday, Nick Saban talked about the committee's decision.
There were a lot of people who I tried to influence that we wanted to look at the whole body of work for the whole season and get the best four teams in the playoffs. And I felt we were one of those teams, and we were certainly pleased and happy that things worked out the way they did. But there was a little white-knuckle time for all of us in terms of we're going to be judged by somebody else now. It's not exactly like we'd like for it to be, and we feel very fortunate that we have the opportunity to be in the game.
Shannon, did the committee get it right?
They got it absolutely right, Joy. I love this. And Skip is upset because I dubbed it the Alabama Invitational, also known as the College Football Playoff. I told you last week what was going to happen. Yeah. I laid it out exactly. And now all of a sudden, yes, I did.
I don't think you laid
I
that
told you,
exactly.
I said Oklahoma would win, they're in. Clemson would win, they're in. Whomever wins the SEC championship, they would be in.
I picked Georgia, you picked Auburn.
I didn't pick anybody, but anyway. I said Ohio State would beat Wisconsin, and Alabama would go. Because you know what? The committee precedent had already been set.
Oh, really?
Penn State beat Ohio State last year. They won the Big Ten championship. Skip, if you don't mind me asking, can you tell the people at home who went to the college playoff last year instead of the Big Ten champ?
I got to ask you a question if you're going to let me have the floor back. What was Ohio State ranked in the final Tuesday night ranking? Help me out. Final Tuesday night ranking last year. Ohio State was 2. Where was Alabama after last Tuesday night going into Saturday? Where were they?
Yeah.
5, they were out.
Oh, whoa.
In the history of this, no team has ever not played on the last weekend and suddenly vaulted into the top 4.
If you don't mind me asking.
Really? Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate you making my case.
Exactly.
Thank you. Case closed.
Because I sprung this trap on you.
Yeah.
How many games?
I think you just fell into your own
hold on,
trap.
Skip. Let me talk.
Way to go, Shannon.
How many games?
Try again. Try another point.
Go ahead, make your point.
No, you gave me the floor. Now
Go ahead, you got it. Go ahead.
Go, Nick. Lord have mercy. You done?
Yeah.
Really?
So you won't let me talk.
Okay.
Your point is you try to talk over me.
You asked me a question and I answered it.
How many games did Ohio State lose last year as they were number 2?
I don't care about last year. Last year should have nothing to do with this year. Go ahead.
Hold on. If you're not going to take the Big Ten champ last year that lost 2 games, how do you get to take them this year?
Tell me.
Oh, you don't. It's not your turn. It's not your turn. And I told you, because the committee had already told me what they thought of Wisconsin, they waited till the final week of the season to put Wisconsin, who was unbeaten, untied, into the college football playoff. So they told me all I needed to know about Wisconsin. And once Ohio State beat them, that's why they put them at 8, Joy, because they weren't going to let them jump 4 spots. Let them jump 3, be 5. And that's why I brought this roll tide. Because a lot of people, it's too late for this, Joy, because a lot of people saw themselves, but I got this for them to help them out. Oh, St. Nick, the Alabama Invitational, and Skip after the game, oh, too bad, Alabama. Oh, Ohio State going to the college playoff. How does it feel to eat crow, Skip Bayless? Tell everybody about that tweet. I was right, you were wrong.
What tweet?
The tweet that you said that Ohio State was going to the college football playoff.
Like every analyst said.
No, every analyst
said.
No, they did.
Want to bet?
No.
I will bet you 90% of analysts in America said after Saturday, Ohio State is in.
And 90% of you are wrong.
Okay, well.
Wrong.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Speaking of wrong, this is so indefensibly wrong. And I'm starting to think that you are right about one thing. I think Nick Saban actually runs college football. Seriously. He is the godfather of college football. And I don't mean that he engages in any illegal activity. I'm talking about in power and influence and mystique and fear factor that he generates. This is a reputation pick. We can't not have Nick in this playoffs. Like you said, it's the Alabama Invitational.
Exactly.
I mean, you're making a joke about it, and now it's not a joke. It just happened right before your very eyes.
Yeah.
And it's the, you know what, this, just for objectivity here, people who've watched me for years on television or read me for years know I am no Ohio State Buckeye fan. I have often called them the Luckeyes, so I'm being completely and utterly objective when I say Ohio State just got all-time robbed and jobbed. All time.
And everybody that watches you on television or have read you know you're not an Alabama or St. Nick fan. So let's put that into the record also.
You mean the most overrated coach in the history of college football?
5 national championships, there's no way.
Yeah, every big game his defense gets torched, such as we just saw at Auburn.
Is the national championship a big game? Yes or no? Go ahead.
So, point number one. The eye test has told me all year long that Ohio State is simply better than Alabama. Just watch them and tell me what you see. I see Ohio State is more talented, deeper in both lines of scrimmage than Alabama.
Well, how you lose 2 games then?
And then case number 2, I'll take Ohio State's resume and case over Alabama's. And I will give you that Ohio State got blown out in Iowa City. The Iowa Hawkeyes beat them by 31 points. But I'm also going to give you this. The Big Ten was ranked the toughest conference in the land this year, and Iowa did finish in FPI, Football Power Index, 24th in the country. So I'd say if you play in that tough of a conference and you lost 1 game to that team, and it was a blowout, I get it. But, hey, if you want to do comparative scores, Iowa did beat Iowa State, which won at Oklahoma. So maybe Oklahoma shouldn't have been in either, right?
Whoa, hold on, Skip. Wait a second.
My God.
What was Iowa State's final record? 7-5?
Yep, 7-5.
So if Alabama had lost a conference game to 7-5 Kentucky by 31 points, Joy, as Coach Saban said, this point would be moot.
Yeah, but the Kentucky is not Iowa.
It's an unforgivable.
So now the Big Ten, the toughest conference in America, has how many teams in the 4 playoffs? They have none.
None, 0.
Really? That's
You didn't earn it.
Outrageously wrong.
You didn't earn it.
And wait, the SEC is ranked as the 4th toughest conference in the land this year. They fell way off. They were all reputation and all bark and no bite this year. They get 2 teams in. That is so wrong, and I'm asking people today to hashtag troll Tide because the Tide deserves to get trolled today.
Guess what? We're going to have that trilogy.
Yeah.
That's what people wanted to see.
It's my turn to talk. Now, let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the positives here. How many positives does Ohio State have versus Alabama's positive? You can get that out of here if you want.
That it ain't bothering you, Skip. It's on my side of the table.
So,
keep talking.
Ohio State did beat Penn State when Penn State was flying high, ranked number 2 in the country. And Ohio State did beat Michigan State when it was ranked number 12.
Really?
That's pretty good. And Ohio State did obliterate Maryland and Nebraska when they were pretty good. People thought they were pretty good.
No, they didn't. Nobody thought Penn.
Ohio State did go to its arch rival in Michigan and beat them handily after J.T. Barrett had torn cartilage in his knee pregame, and he played with torn cartilage in his knee in that game. And then Saturday night, I watched the whole game. I don't know if anybody else did, but I did. I watched Ohio State actually handily beat a Wisconsin that was undefeated and is very well coached and is a very good college football team that would have beaten Alabama that night on a neutral field. Because Alabama's just not that good this year.
That's not what the committee thinks.
Yeah.
And you keep talking about the committee told you what they thought of Wisconsin. And I told you.
By the way, J.T. Barrett played 6 days after he got surgery, arthroscopic surgery on his torn cartilage. So he played.
Great job.
They would have run away with that game. They would have done a number. Maybe,
enjoy the Cotton Bowl,
maybe
JT.
if they had done a 59-0 on Wisconsin's they did a couple of years
Cotton
back,
Bowl.
they would have done it. Yeah. So the Sagarin rankings have Ohio State with the 28th toughest schedule in America. Oh, the Tide are way down here at 56th toughest schedule. You like that?
Yeah,
you like that, committee?
I love it.
So now let's look at what Alabama has done this year. I'm looking for anything impressive. What has Alabama done? Maybe you could help me out.
As a matter of fact, they beat the number 3 team in the country on a neutral site. They lost their quarterback, and we know what happened to Florida State after that.
DeAndre Francois is gone in the middle of that game.
It was the third quarter. Stop it.
It was early. It was early second half.
But what was the score? Oh, okay.
Florida State went 6-6. You like that on your resume?
Yeah.
6-6.
So at the beginning of the year, how many people had Florida State going 6-6? 6-6, Skip.
Yeah. So what
that
exactly did the Roll Tide do? They just rolled along on reputation all year, on St. Nick's reputation, because after Florida State, I'm looking and I just, wait a second. So their last 3 SEC big games in the SEC, quote, I got to put quotes around big because the SEC was the 4th best conference in the country this year. So Roll Tide gave up 151 yards rushing to LSU and actually got out total yardage by LSU, a bad LSU team that lost to Troy. And then next to last big game, they gave up, the Roll Tide did, St. Nick's defense, ain't Nick's defense, gave up 172 yards rushing at Mississippi State and barely won the game because Jalen Hurts came up really big in the 4th quarter of that game. So you struggled with Mississippi State?
On the road.
Woo!
Oh,
really?
Guess what happened?
Wow.
You went on the road to an unranked Iowa State and got and got the doors blowed off you. And I told you at the time that's an unforgivable. And as you mentioned all those stats, you
Wait,
said
I haven't finished yet. And then in the Iron Bowl, you gave up 168 more yards rushing to an Auburn team that beat you soundly. An Auburn team that got beaten soundly by Georgia last Saturday.
Did they beat Georgia? Hold on. Did they beat Georgia? Did they beat Georgia 40-7
they did.
early in the year? Okay,
but then on a neutral field, they lost badly.
You went to Iowa City, and what happened to you?
I just said that. I acknowledge that.
Oh, but So how many losses? So that makes it. So you lose to Iowa, and you lose to Oklahoma. So how many losses do you have?
So let me get this straight. Okay. So the Big Ten had a conference championship game that was won by Ohio State over an undefeated, highly ranked Wisconsin team that really had a great year. And for years, the conference I grew up loving, the Big 12, got robbed and jobbed because it didn't have a conference championship game. So finally this year they said in the Big 12, we give up. We reinstate our conference championship games so that we don't get screwed by the committee.
And you didn't.
Oh,
Oklahoma's in it.
Oh, so wait. Why would the Big Ten even have Ohio State? It didn't do them any good to play in that game.
It didn't do Penn State any good last year.
Interesting.
It didn't do Penn State any good last year.
I told you last year Ohio State was ranked 2 in the final.
They lost one game,
2.
Skip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about the other Ohio State loss. So what good did it do for Ohio State to schedule home and home against the University of Oklahoma? What good did that do you? They should have scheduled Mercer like Alabama did late in the year. Mercer? You got away with playing Mercer in November ahead of the Iron Bowl?
You know what they got?
What are you doing? What's the committee doing?
You know what they got them?
I guess Mercer put them over the top.
Because you played the home and home, it gave you the advantage over Penn State last year when you beat Oklahoma on the road.
Okay.
It gave you the advantage over Penn State because you lost the game. Penn State beat you, won the Big Ten, and couldn't go. But they beat you, and you had one loss. And because everybody said, why did they go, Skip? Because they went to Oklahoma and did a demolition job.
Alabama dropped out of the top 4 this year. How can you justify that they suddenly vault back in when they don't even play on the final Saturday? You know what?
Can you stop banging the table?
You need that toilet
Hold
paper.
on. How about this here, Skip? Think about this. Alabama, at the whole time of the season, Alabama was either 1, 2, or 5. Can you tell the people at home how low did Ohio State drop in a poll particularly?
All I know is that Ohio State played what I think is the best team in the country right now, the University of Oklahoma. And as Urban Meyer said after the game, no quarterback has ever played in my career a better game against me than Baker Mayfield played in their stadium.
They lost.
Well, they did to the best team in the country.
It doesn't matter.
Is there any shame in that? I don't think there's any shame in that.
That's not what the rankings say. The rankings say Clemson is the best team in the country. That's what the rankings say.
So you know what I hope? I dearly hope that Alabama, which is now a 1.5 favorite over Clemson, that no longer has Deshaun Watson. I get it. Kelly Bryant is no Deshaun.
Let that sink in.
It didn't sink in. It was predictable.
No.
I thought they might be a 3-point favorite.
The number 4 team never has that happened before.
It tells you how little Las Vegas thinks of this Clemson team without Deshaun Watson.
No. It tells you what they think of Bama.
But guess what? Oklahoma is also a 1.5 favorite on a neutral field over Georgia. And little old me, I grew up an Oklahoma fan. I can't help it. I was born and raised in the tradition.
Let's go,
I
dog.
think that Oklahoma will beat Georgia. And I'm hoping that Alabama somehow survives Clemson. I think that will be tough, but I hope they do, because you know what's going to happen then?
Let's go, dog.
Baker Mayfield is going to plant his flag on Ain't Nick's defense like every throwing quarterback over the last 10 years has planted a flag on Ain't Nick's defense.
I would appreciate
you
it if you
remember
stopped making
do you remember what Trevor Knight of the University of Oklahoma did in the Sugar Bowl to Ain't Nick's defense? Do you remember that? It was a complete and utter devastation of Ain't Nick. Trevor Knight did it. What do you think Baker Mayfield would do to that?
I don't know.
And by the way, Rodney Anderson and Trey Sermon, they can really run the ball. I think Ain't Nick would be in some huge trouble, and it would be such justice, because Oklahoma might just expose Alabama for what they are, fraudulent.
I know
fraudulent.
You know who Oklahoma and Clemson and Georgia won't get a chance to expose? The Ohio State. I want them to enjoy the Cotton Bowl. I heard it's being played in Jerry World this year. You know, that's a beautiful stadium. They get an opportunity to look at the Jumbotron. I'm sure Jerry has some nice trinkets in the gift bags for him, Joy. But I know what Coach Saban doing right now. He's getting his team to play in the Alabama Invitational again, also known as the College Football Playoff. Like it or not, Skip Bayless, they're the hottest thing going today.
Oh, they're hot, yeah. And then we even got the injury issue that Kirby Hocutt, who runs the committee, is saying, you know, yes, I believe they could get healthier in a month because they've lost some linebackers. I read this morning one of the linebackers might come back. Well, wait a minute. What about J.T. Barrett? You don't think he'd be healthier in a month than he was Saturday night after 6 days after knee surgery?
Okay,
Are you kidding?
So was he?
So it was an injury exemption pick. Way to go, committee.
Let me ask you a question.
Love it.
When he went down to Iowa and played the Hawkeyes, was he in a body cast? They gave up 31.
They all have one loss.
31 points.
Auburn smoked Alabama.
No,
it wasn't close.
No.
It wasn't close. I watched the game. You could just see Auburn better than Alabama.
31 points. If Alabama had lost by 31 points to Kentucky, we're not even having the conversation. We're having a conversation about a team that lost by 31, and you think they deserve a chance to get into the playoffs.
You know what? What did I tell you the Monday after Oklahoma lost at home to Iowa State? It was and remember, I know my Oklahoma football. It was the most embarrassing home loss in Oklahoma history. They were a 31-point favorite to Iowa State that had lost to Iowa.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? They're in. They're the 2 seed.
And you were a 30-point.
It happens.
Hold up.
It happens.
You were a 30-point favorite on the road at Iowa, and they dropped you. They dropped 55.
What else did Alabama do all year? Like, I get the negative. There's a big negative. There's a big negative on Ohio State and on Alabama's resume. They won against what? They were in the 4th best conference in America, and they played the 56th best schedule?
Yeah.
That's horrendously bad. This is the all-time ripoff.
4th best.
Reputation
not the
pick.
40th best conference.
God.
This is what I do know, and this is what you know. All you got to do is turn on Sunday and look at where those players are from. They're from the SEC, Bama,
All those
Georgia,
those cornerbacks.
LSU, Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Skip.
Watch what happens this year in this draft. Let's see how many Tide players get picked. They're just not very good. They're not what they used to be. It's all reputation.
Well, hey, what Ohio State might, and that's even more egregious.
So the
you got all those guys, Joy, that's going in the NFL draft, and he lost 2 games with them to Iowa, who will have nobody drafted in the first 3 rounds.
You know, so I guess the committee was embarrassed because it chose a Big Ten team the last 2 years. Michigan State got clocked by Alabama, and Ohio State got wiped out by Clemson.
So we got tired of that.
So it's shameful. So it's a makeup call. Let's not pick a Big Ten.
Let's not.
How about let's not look back at history? Let's just do this year. What do your eyes tell you? Ohio State is better than Alabama. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And yet, St. Nick even admitted publicly, he boasted last night, I tried to use my influence. I tried to influence the committee with the things I said publicly. So he was actually taking credit for his power, for his influence in college football. He is the Godfather. And the Godfather said, let there be Alabama.
If you don't mind me asking, what head coach in the NFL you think carried the most cachet, Joy Taylor? Skip Bayless?
Well, the NFL doesn't have people deciding who gets to play for the playoff.
All these rule changes. All the Coach Belichick throws stuff out there that's like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, really?
Nick Saban,
Yeah.
Coach Saban, we going bowling, Skip. Get your bowling shoes.
Yeah.
We going bowling. Enjoy the Cotton Bowl.
You better hope
I
your
don't
team
hope
does
nothing.
not have to face Oklahoma in the championship game. I'm hoping for that because you're going to be in so much trouble and we're going to bet so much Diet Mountain Dew on it. It's going to be so much fun.
My team is in the
Baker Mayfield wants him some Bama.
Hold on. Why is Coach Saban smiling and Urban Meyer not? I mean, what's going on here?
Well, who's your team? Well, it's Roll Tide this week.
Yeah, Bayless, I want you to stop banging the table because that was very unnecessary, Skip. Stop! Coach Saban, he has...
No mercy. The Seahawks snapped the Eagles' 9-game winning streak with a 24-10 win at home last night. Carson Wentz threw for nearly 350 yards, but he had a key fumble at the goal line with Philly down by 7 in the third quarter. Russell Wilson threw 3 touchdown passes in the win, and the Seahawks are now 8-4. The Eagles are now tied with Minnesota for the best record in the NFC. So, Shannon,
Yes.
What did you learn last night?
I still believe the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I knew what Seattle represents, especially in that building defensively. They got after Carson Wentz. They put a lot of hits on him. Although they didn't sack him 7 or 8 times, they did get to him, and it forced him to – his accuracy was off. He missed a throw early, I think it was in the first quarter, to Aguilar, that if he makes that throw, that's a touchdown. And what we've seen and what I've seen from quarterbacks, from having played this game and having studied this game, if you get to them early, it rattles their confidence a little bit, and it affects their accuracy. He comes back later in the third quarter, he has Aguilar wide open. They run the 2 receiver on the right side is running up the field. Earl Thomas completely turns his back. Aguilar crosses. If he throws the ball like he's supposed to, like he's been thus far, it's a 75-yard touchdown. Instead, it's a 30-yard gain. And that was the difference in the ball game. He turned the ball over twice. That last interception, I don't even know why he threw that. That was 2 minutes left in the game. He didn't have to try to get that chunk play, and this guy was double covered. But the fumble was really, really costly. Hey, Skip, you like Big V? You thought Big V did a good job last night? I didn't think so. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But but when you look at Seattle, 90% of what they do offensively is improvised. You don't call that what Russell Wilson was doing. Now, do I believe Case Keenum has that kind of escapability? I do not. Do I believe Drew Brees has that kind of escapability? No, I do not. Jared Goff? No, I do not. So the pressure that they were mounting, they're going to get to any other quarterback not named Russell Wilson. And so that's why I still believe that Wentz is still the MVP front runner. We're going to talk about Russell a little later. But offensively, I thought they got a little sloppy. They missed some throws early, which let Seattle get comfortable. Because even when he fumbled the ball, okay, yeah, you get a touchback. But they get the ball on the 20-yard line, and they go 80 yards for a touchdown. And the Phillies' defense has been unbelievable this year. So give Seattle a lot of credit. But I thought the Eagles were very sloppy, and I thought Carson Wentz played sloppy last night.
Interesting. So I remind everyone that the Philadelphia Eagles were 6.5-point favorites last night. I picked it 30-14 Philadelphia, but I was picking with my heart because I needed the Eagles, your Eagles, the new bandwagon you're driving, to beat the Seahawks because the Seahawks are ahead of my Cowboys in the wild card race. And I needed the Eagles to drop the Seahawks to 7-5 while my Cowboys sit still alive at 6-6. And I needed Wentz in a lifetime, and I got Wentz upon a time. He used to be Carson Wentz. I don't know who that guy was because I kept waiting to see. Shannon told me he's the MVP frontrunner, and I kept waiting. And
he is.
Then NBC showed pictures side by side of Prince Harry and Carson Wentz. They look exactly alike. And so I'm thinking,
yeah, he's
I want to see Prince Harry Wentz play some royal football.
No, they're saying Carson Wentz is royalty in the NFL.
Yeah, well, that's
royalty.
I needed to see royal football, and I needed to see walk it to him Wentz, and I saw fumble it to him Wentz. That's who he is. He was fumble it to him Wentz at the goal line.
Yeah,
you can't do that. And I'm thinking, wait a second. Seattle doesn't have Richard Sherman, doesn't have Cam Chancellor, doesn't have Cliff Averill. And Kirk Cousins went up there and beat them? Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
Kirk Cousins did it.
Hold on. Now you
Kirk Cousins
now
beat
you
him.
want to make now you try no. So let me get this straight. Now you want to diminish Carson Wentz. Now you want to prop up Kirk Cousins, who you said is terrible, and you hope the
Kirk Cousins is 1-6 against Dallas. He's 0-4 against Dak Prescott. He went to Seattle and beat what's left of the Seahawks.
I think Drew Stanton beat him. I think Drew Stanton of the Cardinals beat Seattle in Seattle.
Okay. And Deshaun Watson put up 38 points at Seattle. Yeah. And wait a second. Fumble it to him. Wentz had 45 yards at halftime, 45 yards passing and 3 points. Yeah. Fumble it to him. What are you doing? Fumble it to him. Wentz didn't even score a touchdown until the fourth quarter.
How many yards?
What is he doing? I need him, and he killed me.
How many yards did Brady have at the half?
This is about Carson Wentz, who's running away with MVP, says the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe.
Skip.
Yes,
I never said he's running away.
Okay,
I said
he's
the MVP.
leading, right?
Yeah, he still is.
And I'm thinking,
he still is.
What do you do? You fumbled. You missed Aguilar, as you said, on that early touchdown, and then
missed a couple of throws to the tight end.
How about that 4th and 3 play to Barner? Barner's just wide open, and I know he's got a rusher right up in his face. You just have to step up and make that play.
You can't. No.
You're a tough kid. You're Paul Bunyan from North Dakota. You got to step into that throw.
No, you can't step into it. Step into the throw, Skip. What he was doing. Barner got turned around. Barner was thinking the ball was going to come over the outside shoulder.
It was 10 yards over his head.
Skip, he put air up under the ball to give Barner a chance, but Barner didn't locate the ball.
So it was Barner's fault.
No,
okay.
It was. Okay. They had the right call at the right time
for that
touchdown. Situation.
It was a touchdown.
And there's also on 3rd down, they had a 3rd and 3. They run a toss play. Lane Johnson is pulling. He stumbles. The guy that he would have blocked made the tackle. It happens, Skip. If the worst thing you can say that they're 10-2 and they lost on the road to Seattle, I think the Philadelphia Eagles would take that. Would the Cowboys take 10-2 right now?
At the end of the game, I'm thinking, I got a chance here because I got the MVP front runner. I got Carson Wentz in a lifetime, and it's 24-10, and Philly's driving and gets it into Seattle territory, and then all of a sudden, it's 3rd and 4th down. You just got to make a throw against that defense. You can make the throw. Just make one throw. And he throws high and wide on 3rd down and 4th down. I just fell out of my chair. Fumble it to him. I need you. Just make one throw. Come on. If you cut it to 24-17, I got a shot.
Right. Hey, this is
Get
not
it to overtime.
This is not about you, Skip.
Well, it's about the Cowboys.
Yeah, don't worry.
And you know what? I started thinking at the end of the game, I know this is far-fetched, but deep down, did Philly think, boy, we can't go win this game because that might get Dallas in the playoffs. Everybody's afraid of the Cowboys. That's the team nobody was going to play.
How about this, Skip? If you take care of your business, you shouldn't hope somebody else do your dirty work.
I lost Sean Lee and I lost Ezekiel Elliott. And they're going to return, and you're going to be in trouble if they get in the tournament.
I don't do ifs. I don't do ifs. If Frog had pocket joy, what would he do? Frog had a pocket.
So wait a second.
Got a knife, stab a snake before it ate it.
Thank you.
But wait a second. Was your restaurant open last night? Because the Eagles, were they knocking on the door?
They lost.
What did they order last night at the restaurant?
They
all
wanted
of them
a cheese-covered L.
Yeah, they full. They full of them 10 dubs. I mean, they've been eating all week. I mean, really? Joy, when you gorge yourself for nine straight weeks, you can sit back and like, okay, I ain't gonna get a chance to eat this week because I'm full.
I've been trying to tell you this team is overrated, just as its quarterback is overrated. They've been on this magical mystery roll, this quote-unquote Super Bowl roll, and all it's going to take is a loss in Seattle, which I did not see coming, and a loss to the Rams next week here in Los Angeles, and all of a sudden they're going to say, uh-oh.
So let me ask you a question. They beat the Rams, then what? You're going to say the Rams are not as good as their records say. You will find an excuse to try to minimize what Carson Wentz is doing.
I will react to what I see. And last night, I did not see a very good football team because other teams have gone in there and beaten this team. It doesn't really have the home field loud advantage.
Okay, think about this here.
Wow.
You lost to a Kansas City team that's lost 6 or 7. That you feel good about that?
Who?
The Patriots, that's who.
Oh, the Patriots. That was ages ago. That was in August, it feels like.
Did
they
lose to a team that lost 6
what happened in 2014 when they lost to Kansas City? Remember when they got their doors blown off? That's not what I'm talking about. Well, I'm just telling you, that's what happens to Kansas City.
But you talk about, teams are beaten. Okay. The team that blew out the Patriots have lost. They lost to the Jets yesterday.
The team that blew out the Cowboys, and I told you the next day, they just won their Super Bowl. The Denver Broncos just lost to Jay Cutler.
Yeah. And guess
they're
what?
Pathetic.
And the Eagles blew out the Cowboys. And the Falcons blew out the Cowboys. And the Rams blew out the Cowboys.
No Sean Lee. No Sean Lee. No Sean Lee. No Sean Lee.
Joy.
He's about to come back.
You know what, Joy? You know what I did, Joy? I got rid of all my work crew. I ain't got no staff. You walk into my restaurant, you see hot ale or hot dogs. You just grab one that fits you. So all I know is the Cowboys, they've been grabbing them ales, eating them like candy bars.
Yeah. How'd they look against Washington? What'd they look like to you? We weren't on this show. We did our Facebook. We didn't get to do this show on Friday.
They're going to look a little better when we have one of
them. They looked really good.
It's going to look really good. And during the wild card round of the playoffs, we have somebody from Dallas on the show with us talking about it.
Really?
So you can ask them what happened.
Yeah, you better hope they don't make it in. The Dallas Cowboys are the one team nobody would want to play in January.
Everybody's going to want to play them.
You watch.
Everybody's going to want to play them.
That was a crushing loss.
All you got to do is choke off that run. If you choke off the run against the Cowboys, make Dak do what he do. And we know he's going to serve them things up.
Well, guess what?
You get one.
Seattle.
You get one.
Seattle choked off that run last night. That guy, I don't know.
He just threw for
looked a little
348.
shaky. Yeah, he got about 200 yards in garbage time in the fourth quarter.
Kind of like that. Kind of like that when he's down 21-3.
Yeah. How about the one Carson Wentz just closed his eyes and he's falling down, throwing it? Oh, but it was a Hall of Fame throw. Baloney. It just happened to come down, and who was it?
Don't do that, Skip.
No, come on.
29-6.
Yeah.
10-2.
10-2. Patriots are better than the Eagles. You know it, and I know it.
I don't know nothing. That's not what the record says. The record says they're equal.
No mercy. The Patriots won their 8th straight yesterday, blowing out the Bills, but one of the bigger stories was on the sideline. Tom Brady threw an incomplete pass late in the first quarter, and the Patriots had to settle for a field goal. Then he walked to the sideline and erupted on offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. After the game, Brady said, quote, "It's just football. We've been around each other a lot. I love Josh." We're joined by FS1 NFL analyst Eric Dickerson. Eric, we compared Brady to guys like Terrell Owens, who got a lot of criticism for yelling at their coaches. So does Brady deserve to be called out too?
Well, yes and no. First of all, he's Tom Brady. He's 40 years old. He's a grown man. He's a grown man. 40 years old. He got 5 Super Bowl rings. But, I think all of us, as a former player, I think have went off on players and coaches. And it's nothing personal. You just want to win. I think in that instance, he knew he had overthrown a receiver. Josh said something like, look, man, I know what I did. It's just frustration because you want to win. Does he get a pass? It's like you said, it's football. If that was T.O., would he get a pass?
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so why does he get a pass?
No, I'm just saying, wait, I'm telling you, he would not get a pass. Would Cam Newton get a pass? Absolutely not. First thing they would say, oh, man, this is why we can't win. He's selfish. He's all about him. And it's frustrating to see that. But we know, he's going to get a pass no matter what. But you know it as a player. Sometimes you're just frustrated. It's just frustration. And I think for Tom, it was frustration. They were going to win the game no matter what. So that's why I say, be done with it. I mean, he's Tom Brady.
No.
It is what it is.
I played 14 years, and I never got into a verbal, heated altercation on the sideline with a player or a coach because I felt what I wanted to say. I knew how it was going to be perceived in front of the cameras. I'll address it behind closed doors. I want the respect because, ED, I'm big on respect. I'm big on I don't care how old you are, if you're above me, I'm a player, you're a coach. That means you outrank me in authority. It's okay. Are you more important than me? No. Is Josh McDaniels more important than Tom Brady? No, that's not the point. That's not the issue. The issue was the way he reacted. And we've seen him do this before. He did it to Bill O'Brien in Washington. He blew up on the sideline. He showed up his receiver. Hold on. Me, and I knock on wood, John.
Now, it's different when you show up another player. I don't like that.
Yeah. And so he was wrong. And we see a lot of this going on in society today because of I have this status or I have that status, I should be exempt from anything. No, there's not a man ever been born alive that's above reproach. There was one, but he doesn't count. But if you walk this earth currently and you breathe oxygen, you're not above reproach. I don't care if you got 10 rings. I don't care if you got 15 MVPs. Conduct yourself accordingly, Tom Brady.
Oh, okay. So Tom Brady then has a long-standing reputation of incident after incident after incident like this. He's got 2 in his whole career. He's 40 years old. He's got 2 incidents that got blown up.
Too many.
Too many?
Too many.
So let's go back to 2011. We're almost to 2018, so it's like 7 years ago. And it was in Washington, and the receiver in question was named Tyquan Underwood.
Yes.
who lasted with the Patriots a grand total of 6 games that year. He caught 3 balls for 30 yards, and he ran the wrong route in the back of the end zone, which resulted in an end zone interception of one Tom Brady. So they go to the sideline, and how many quarterbacks in this league, back to Dan Marino, even John Elway, and I can certainly account for Troy Aikman because he could really get in receivers' faces. Every quarterback can get in receivers' faces. So for once, a young receiver named Tyquan Underwood, who was not going to last more than 6 games with the
Tom
Patriots,
Brady didn't know that.
Yeah, he's in his face about you ran the wrong route. And Bill O'Brien, his coach, walks over to him, the coordinator who's on the sideline at that point, and tells him to back off. And Tom Brady, I call him Psycho Tom because he plays on hair trigger, he plays on razor's edge, he is extremely, almost crazy competitive. He goes off on his coach for telling him not to criticize a young receiver.
Right.
How many receivers in Tom Brady's career has he criticized publicly that you've known of?
I don't
Did he do
know
it to
any.
Randy Moss? Did he do it to Gronkowski? I can go back, I don't know, to Edelman. I don't know.
And you know why?
None.
You know why
None.
why Bill O'Brien jumped him? He said, "Well, don't make it exacerbate a situation. You know he ran the wrong route. Why in the hell you throw him the football anyway, Tom, and get an interception?"
So thank you for bringing up that concept because yesterday Tom Brady is trotting off the field. He's 40 years of age. He has 5 Super Bowl championships, and he's played in 7. And Josh McDaniels has the audacity to say, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
He knows exactly what he didn't do.
Those last
he
two
missed
Super Bowls.
it.
Those last 2 Super Bowls.
He knew he missed it.
He missed
He knew
it.
he
And
missed
he also missed Philip Dorsett, who's just standing all alone on the sideline saying, "Throw it to me."
But Tom
And
didn't know he
Tom
missed
Brady
him.
screwed up, and he knew it.
No, he didn't.
And he was furious with himself.
Skip, stop it. He did not even see Dorsett.
I think he did.
He was upset at Cooks. Josh McDaniels said he thought he was saying Brandon Cooks was wide open. Josh McDaniels was saying Philip Dorsett was wide open on the sideline. And hold on. Just because you got 5 Super Bowls, just because that doesn't give you're not exempt, ED.
You know, I agree with you with that. Don't get me wrong. I say it because in the heat of the game, you know, when you're playing a football, and you know this, when you're playing a football game, I mean, I'll say, we played I'm on the Indianapolis coast. One of my offensive linemen run right by a linebacker. The linebacker gets me to the top of I'm like, what the hell, man? Yeah. What are you doing? I mean, you just frustrated. It's
on the field or
on the field. I mean, I'm like, what are you? I'm walking to the sideline. What? Didn't you see him?
Yeah.
I didn't see him. He's 6'5", 255. You didn't see him. I mean, so it's just frustration. And I know when anytime someone yells at you, you have a tendency to go off and say something like, "I know I messed up." Tom knew he messed up.
Yeah.
It was just he missed the pass. And you know what? As great as he is, he's a perfectionist. That's what he is. And it's not going to be great all the time. And you can sit here and say that you've never yelled. The camera probably never caught you, but I'm sure you've went off.
I'm gonna tell you what. I remember just like
high
yesterday.
school, college,
No. In
never.
1993, we played the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
We got all 4 seams called. They run covered. They run like a 2 shell. But anyway, Vance Johnson was supposed to release outside all week. Release outside. He releases inside, and his guy
Comes inside.
and hits me in the back, and I drop a touchdown. Now, I'm mad at me because I dropped a touchdown. But then I realized and I say, well, hold on. I was like, Vance, did you go outside? He talking about my bad. I was like, Vance, bro, you know you're supposed to go outside. You cost me a touchdown. He didn't cost me a touchdown. I cost me a touchdown. But he ran the wrong route. I wanted to strangle him.
Well, so anytime you were open, you didn't say, "Man, I'm open over here."
Oh, John did. You couldn't wait.
You never say, "I'm open over here." I'm open.
Oh, I tell Mike, hey, Mike, they biting today. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, these fish out here, they biting. Don't let them off the hook. Give me the ball.
So Tom Brady, in all these years, now he's 40 years of age, he's had only 2 incidents in which the coordinator provoked him both times.
Ain't nobody provoked him.
Yes, he did. You don't think Josh McDaniels, they're on television and you're showing them up like, what are you doing?
Tom Brady's on only Josh and Bill O'Brien is on television? Is Tom on television?
Yeah.
Oh, it's closed circuit. They just only got those
Did
guys.
Tom help make both of those guys? Did he
Yes.
get them both head coaching jobs all over the map?
Skip, just because you help someone doesn't mean you get to be disrespectful, Skip.
I get that. I don't think, I'm not saying it's disrespectful. You know, once again, as a player, you know, in the heat of the game, it's a lot going on.
Okay, what happened
Frustration.
5 minutes later? Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady are sitting side by side on the bench going over strategy.
Yeah, what the
It's
hell?
over.
That's it. That's it. It's over.
Ed,
Yeah.
what the hell were they supposed to do? The offensive coordinator and the quarterback, were they supposed to be mad for the rest of the game?
They could be.
No, stop it. You know that's not going
Well,
to
they
happen.
could be mad.
Which brings up your friend Terrell Owens. And I felt a little bad because Shannon and I got into it earlier in the show. And I don't want to pile on Terrell because the God's truth is, from the bottom of my heart, I like him. I think he's fun to have on the show. But he had issues with head coaches and coordinators, and especially with quarterbacks, and he couldn't let it go. And Terrell will tell you, he had some psychological issues. Once he started in, he would just go into a pout funk, and he would be done for the rest of the game, and he would take it to the media after the game. He did it again and again and again in San Francisco and Philly and Dallas.
For T.O.,
he just did.
What with T.O., the thing is that he felt that he was open. And when he didn't get the ball, or the plays we practice all week, and then all of a sudden we come in the game and the ball's not coming in his direction,
Right.
he didn't know how to handle that. I've never excused T.O.'s behavior on the sideline. I've never excused that. And because I've never excused T.O.'s behavior, I will never, ever excuse
Okay, but think about the infamous Greg Knapp incident
Yes.
in Minnesota. I was
Yeah, he
there
was
that
wrong.
day. Randy Moss is showing up Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
Randy Moss is going crazy, catching
Yes.
3 long touchdown
Yes.
passes. And Randy feels like, Terrell feels like Jeff Garcia is not getting the ball, and Greg Knapp is not calling the right plays to get him the ball.
Right.
So Greg Knapp does not provoke it. He doesn't say a word to Terrell.
Right.
He's calling plays from the sideline, so he's, unfortunately for him, down on the sideline, sitting on the bench, and you can see it right there.
Unfortunate.
And Terrell just goes off on him, and Greg Knapp never said a word back to him. He was just sort of a captive audience, like prisoner of the moment. And Terrell got it out of his system, but then he took it to the media after the game and campaigned for Tim Rattay, the backup quarterback, to replace 4-time Pro Bowler Jeff Garcia at quarterback. Well, this is like crazy behavior where you've just taken it way too far because you got shown up by your counterpart.
The way I look at it, Skip Bayless, a lot of wrong is just the equivalent of a
make it
little
right.
wrong.
A lot of wrong.
Tom Brady doesn't have a whole lot of history. He doesn't have the situation in San Fran, in Philly, and in Dallas. But Tom Brady is wrong. He's
Was
wrong.
he? I mean, the coach started it and he finished it.
You think, Edie, think about what Skip just said.
Okay, do you think
he started it.
Okay, do you think Bill Belichick would start it with Tom Brady? Because I don't. Do you think Tom Brady would try to finish it with Bill Belichick? I don't. But that's his coordinator.
I'll say this much here. If Tom Brady had a history, say he had done this
Sure.
10 times.
Okay.
Okay, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
I don't care if he won 20
Can
Super
I ask you a
Bowls.
question?
Yes.
How many guys you think up in Folsom Prison on the first offense?
I don't know.
So now we're
Now we're
leaping.
going
No.
Tom Brady belongs in Folsom,
That's
right?
not what I'm saying,
Okay,
Skip.
well,
I'm using the analogy as the first
you
time.
know what? But the thing about that is, everyone makes a mistake. I mean, nothing's perfect.
But Skip is excusing it. Why was he
not
getting it out?
There's a
excusing it.
difference between a mistake and a habit.
But a habit is
point.
it's not a habit. I mean, when you say a habit, I mean you do it continuously.
Right, I'm saying there's a difference between making a mistake and doing something habitually.
Aaron Rodgers has a habit of showing up his receivers
That's
by
a
pointing
habit.
at them.
Aaron Rodgers is wrong. Tom Brady is wrong. You don't make excuses
never
for
yelled at
Aaron
the coach?
Rodgers.
Yeah, I did yell at the coach. He yelled at me and I yelled back.
Which coach?
I was in college. I went off.
Aha.
Oh, I take that back.
Was that-
There we go.
Okay,
I knew it. I knew he had.
Is it Ron Meyer or your
No, it was my
coordinator?
running back coach.
Yeah, I got it.
I did. Oh, in 1988.
There we go. I knew it.
Offensive coordinator, I ran her out. He said he was new to the team, and he's trying to show everybody he's an authority now. So I ran the out, Skip. He said, run it again. I ran it again. I ran the route like 5 times. He said, run it again. I said, I ain't running it no more. He said, run the route again. I left. Coach Davis, who rest his soul, he asked, where you going? I said, hey, I'm done. He hollers down. He said, I told you, Brick, don't F with that one. You coach all the rest of them. Don't mess with him.
You got a bad attitude.
Yeah, no,
See, I knew it. I told you it did it.
And then Coach Davis summoned me to his office.
Uh-oh.
Hey, do me a favor, home. Apologize to the team.
Apologize.
I did.
There you go.
I have my hand behind my back, though.
Oh, toss.
I don't need it. I don't need it, y'all.
No mercy. Tom Brady was intercepted by Tre'Davious White of the Bills in the fourth quarter yesterday. After White got tackled, Rob Gronkowski threw a forearm to the back of his head. Gronk was not ejected, but he was given a personal foul penalty. White is now in concussion protocol. After the game, Gronk apologized for the hit.
First off, I definitely want to apologize to number 27. I mean, I'm not in the business of that. I mean, it was a lot of frustration, and I was just really frustrated at that moment. It just happened naturally through emotions and frustration, and just want to apologize to Tre'Davious White. I don't really believe in type of shots like that. It's like crazy. I mean, like, what am I supposed to do? And then they don't call that. I mean, it was just frustration, and that's what happened.
It was like a wrestling move. Like he's straight. I don't know, elbow, shoulder. I don't really know what it was. I saw on the replay. It was just a dirty play, man, and that's something that the NFL talks about all the time about not wanting. So the refs, if they didn't see it, live, they had a good chance to see it on the replay, and just dirty play.
Shannon, how should Gronk be punished?
Let's start with this. He should have been ejected from the ball game. That's first and foremost. Dead ball, guy gets an interception. He's down. He's already out of bounds. Brandon Cooks comes by, touches him. He's down. He's already out of bounds. He's down. Then Gronk comes with that big that you see in the monitor, that forearm that's made of iron, and he elbows him in the back of the head. Now, Gronk says he was frustrated, which shows what? Intent. So sometimes we like, well, we don't know what was going through his mind. We know exactly what was going through Gronk's mind. He said, he was holding me all the way down the field. What am I supposed to do? You're not supposed to do that. So if he got a one-game suspension, he would definitely warrant it. It definitely warranted. If the NFL is serious about player safety, because it always goes back, Joy, to intent. What was his intent? His intent was to do exactly what he did. And concussion, the side of the head or the back of the head is where the individual is most vulnerable. Skip, the guy's laying on the ground and you come put your forearm. He winds it up. He didn't put his shoulder pad. He winds his elbow up and he put the one that he had the big heavy brace on in the back of the guy's head. So he took the shot to the back of the head and then the guy's head caroms off the turf. And what am I supposed to do? I'm frustrated. Skip, there are a lot of guys that feel that Gronk pushes off because he's so big, it's hard to get around him. But a lot of guys feel that Gronk catches passes that he pushes off. He catches touchdowns, he pushes off. So what are they supposed to do? Go dive into his knee when he's not looking? No, you accept it. You move on. This was cheap, this was dirty, and he's like, I apologize. Apology, that's only for you, because guess what? White is just as injured. He's in concussion protocol. He might not be able to go next week. And all I get is an apology? NFL, if you're serious about this, he needs to go sit down for a game.
I will agree that Rob Gronkowski almost certainly will be suspended, but I would not suspend him. Because do you remember A.J. Green and what he did to Jalen Ramsey? Did he not just snap because he was frustrated by Jalen Ramsey's sort of gray area behavior, right? Up to the whistle, a little after the whistle sort of behavior. And he snapped, strangled him from behind, sort of wrestling moved him, threw him down. It's a pretty dangerous play by a guy who had no track record, no reputation, seen as a pretty good guy, very good guy in A.J. Green. And Gronk has no real reputation for this.
Well, are we going to disregard the Super Bowl? That melee at the end of the game?
Got into it. Everybody got into it. But he got fined for that.
Hold on now. But you say he didn't have any priors.
Okay, well, he's been fined 3 times, but he's never been suspended 1 time.
No.
So it's not he's not like a repeat dirty player offender.
No,
right?
I'm just saying.
We're not talking about Vontaze Burfict.
No, but you're saying he doesn't have any priors, and he does have priors.
Okay, he's been fined, small fines. He got into that fight. What was the other one?
The block out of bounds in the coach.
He was taunting at one point, and he had an unnecessary roughness.
When he blocked the guy out of bounds.
So he's had 3 small fines, not major fines.
Yes.
And to your point, I don't get why he wasn't ejected, but I don't know if the whole crew knew that had been going on and on and on the whole game, because he was getting held like crazy. I watched every play of this game, and he did get called for a push-off that you talked about, a pass interference that I thought was really ticky-tack. It was really iffy. And he boiled over, and he snapped.
Yes.
I think he was actually starting to pull back to throw a right hand. That's what it looked like to me on the video, that he's starting to throw a right hand, and at the last second he says, I better not do that. Like he's going to throw a punch?
No, you watch him. Look at that pad. That's to protect, because he's had surgery. He broke that forearm, and he had that elbow injury. Yep. So look at the pad now. He put that in the back of the guy's head.
Well, you said he had an iron forearm? No,
Yeah.
I say he's got a glass forearm, but that's just me. But he does have a pad on it, so I give you that.
And the brace above the elbow, that's what he put in the back of the guy's helmet.
So how do you figure that an entire officiating crew witnessed this? Because it's after the play.
Yeah.
It's after the whistle.
Right.
It's over. The play is dead, right?
Because if you threw a flag, Skip, obviously you saw what he did.
Yeah.
You saw what he did.
Okay. So how do you figure the whole crew decides in the heat of the moment, let's not throw him out of the game? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So will it be a makeup call on the part of the NFL just to say, hey, we have to make this look better than we made it look yesterday?
I think for the fact that he says he was frustrated, which shows his intent, and then he winds up and does it. Skip, it wasn't like a situation where, you shove somebody, because think about it.
No,
the guy had already been touched down, and you wind up and you put this elbow in the back, and you said because it's been going on all day. I was frustrated.
In that whole play, Tre'Davious just holds him the whole way
all
up
the way
the
up the
field.
field. All the way up the field.
Okay, and so he snapped.
Yes.
And it wasn't a pretty sight. I thought it could have been even worse if he'd gone with the right-hand punch.
Well, no, he did the right thing because what's protected the most? That elbow with that metal plate in there.
Okay.
And so he puts that in the back. I would be shocked, Skip. I really would. I would be shocked if Gronk is not suspended the game.
Okay, you're probably right, but why wasn't A.J. suspended?
Because he didn't hit him in the head. And the precedent is, Skip, if you think about it, the precedent, we had seen Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan get into it. And Skip, they were actually throwing blows. Finnegan's helmet came off. So we had the precedent. And I don't believe if Talib and Crabtree, had they not re-engaged, I don't believe they would have been suspended, Skip.
That's probably true, unless the NFL just thought it had gone on too long.
Right, because, they gave him 2 games and it was reduced down to 1. But when you look at this situation, given that he said he was frustrated, which shows his intent, which he winds up and hits the guy, and that's it, Skip, intent. And I'm a firm believer, intent. Well, he didn't look, intent only matters to you. But the person is just as injured, whether he apologized, whether he intended. But this shows me intent because he said I was frustrated. He'd been holding me all day. Because think about it, Skip. He held him all the way up the field. He grabbed him basically off the line of scrimmage. He's running like a crossing route. He turns up the field, and the guy still has his jersey.
Yep.
And so he gets the interception because that makes it not only, Skip, did he hold right? Not only is he holding me, now he gets to say, I got a pick against Gronk.
He did. So, Joy Taylor, you have known Rob Gronkowski for a long time, right? What was your take on this and on him as a repeat offender?
Well, I don't think he's a repeat offender. I think Gronk gets officiated kind of a little bit like LeBron does. He's so big that refs kind of take pity on whoever has to guard him, especially if they're, a smaller guy. And he was holding him. But, Gronk has a good heart. I think he really was actually very sorry about what happened. But I do think that they are going to suspend him to make up for the fact that White is in concussion protocol now, and that they didn't throw him from the game, and that he did say that he was frustrated and that he snapped. So I do think the NFL is going to suspend him a game, but I don't think he meant to hurt him. I think he just boiled over and he snapped.
So if I hit you in the back of the head,
I'm still just as hit in the back of the head.
And you just as hurt.
But yes. So I'm saying he is going to be suspended. I don't think he intended for him to have a concussion.
He could have did what Carson Wentz. You remember last night, Skip, he slid and the DB hit him in his chest.
He did, yeah.
I mean, Gronk could have put his shoulder pad in his back. We could have done that.
But that's not how you handle it. If you're frustrated, you go to the refs. We all know that. He obviously acted out of frustration. So if you're acting out of frustration, you're not thinking sensibly anyway.
Because Skip, look, you're going to get held, especially if you're one of the premier players. I would always go to the back judge. I'm like, look here. Come on now. He watching me. He real touchy with his hands. Just plant the seed out there. Hey, just call what you see.
But it's more than him being a premier player. Gronkowski is almost impossible to
guard. And he pushes off a lot. And so he gets more offensive pass interference than your normal tight end because, Skip, he is so big. Even if he just a little nudge from somebody that's 6'6", 280, you're going to go flying.
So now Tom Brady has to go win, I believe it's a Monday night game at Dolphins with no Gronk, no Edelman, no Martellus, no Chris Hogan. What's left?
Really, Skip?
What's left?
Really?
Well, I'm serious.
No, you're not.
Well, what did Jay Cutler do to the Broncos yesterday?
Really, Skip?
Really?
The Broncos.
He really did it.
The Broncos.
He really did it.
With Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
You saw what he did.
I saw it.
Did you see that game?
I did see it.
I mean, the smell had to be awful because everybody's just pooping on the field. Trevor Siemian just pulled his pants down.
I know, he did.
And I'm telling you
Dolphins
this.
play the Patriots tough, though.
Why do they keep putting Isaiah McKenzie back there to return punts?
Because that was another.
How many times?
He caught it.
Skip.
And then he lost it.
Skip, this is not Georgia.
I know.
You
I
can
got
do
it.
things like
I
that
got
in
it.
college, reverse fielding. You're not doing that in the NFL.
Just as long as Gronk is back for the game on December
15th,
5th to 17th,
Put it
whatever
away.
it is, at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Next game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he'll be back.
They'll beat them without Gronk.
Boy, I don't know. Then Brady must be all-time.
No mercy. The Chiefs are in an absolute free fall right now. They've now lost 6 of their last 7 after losing to the Jets yesterday. Late in the fourth quarter, Chiefs defensive back Marcus Peters picked up a ref's flag and threw it into the stands. Peters then walked off the field into the locker room, even though he wasn't ejected on the play. Andy Reid said Peters thought he was ejected, but was actually just given an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez. Welcome, Tony.
What's up, guys? We're good.
What's up?
Yeah.
What's your take on this whole situation?
It's like, do I believe him? Yeah, I believe him. I think for sure he thought he was kicked out. When I was looking at it, for sure, I was like, oh, he's gone. But I don't know what the rule is. So, yeah, he's in the locker room. Why, though? Okay, he's frustrated. He did that. He made a conscious decision. He lost his cool, just like we saw last week with the Raider players and the Denver Bronco players. And that's, I think, you just lose it. But I think, to me, they're in the middle of this skid right now. Alex Smith played well. But to me, I'm frustrated now because they're frustrated. And they need to understand they're still in a position to win this division. They still have a chance. There's an opportunity. And to me, behavior like this, I'm looking at Andy Reid, and I hope he's addressing it today. I hope that meeting room he's lighting into these guys and telling them, look, that's basically saying I give up. That's basically saying I give up. And Marcus Peters is a phenomenal football player. If he can just control himself emotionally, he will take that next step to being one of an all-pro year in and year out. But that is, I think, his last step to being a truly great football player is controlling his emotions.
In the words of the old Tom Petty song, they're free falling. Nobody saw this.
God rest his soul.
Rest his soul.
Yeah.
Yep. No one saw this because they were the hottest team. They went to New England and they put a demolition and they were just rolling along 30 points and Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt and Alex Smith. And so everything was going well. And then, we kind of saw this. We thought they would take a little step back defensively once Barry got hurt, especially in the first game. Mm-hmm. Alex Smith finally turned the corner. He finally got it right. Okay, he played really well yesterday.
He did.
4 touchdowns, over 300 yards, and then the defense just falls completely apart. And that's what happens, frustration, because you see where you were and then you see where you are now. And the teams that you was steamrolling, all of a sudden the Chargers are like, we gonna win this thing. The Raiders like, hold on, they left us for dead. We got a chance to win.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, Tony, Kansas City needs to realize, well, hold on, we still in the front. San Diego has to come to us. Oakland has to come to us. So we still have a lot to play for. I'm surprised because normally, Skip, when they throw a player out, they'll announce it. The referee will come on. 22 has been ejected from the game.
Yep.
I didn't hear that. I knew he was going to get an unsportsmanlike conduct because he took the penalty and threw it. Now, I've seen him throw the flag, a player throw the flag. I've never seen one throw it up in the stands like that. So he knew he was going to get an unsportsmanlike conduct, penalty 15 yards. But they're desperate, Skip. They signed Darrelle Revis. Skip, there's a reason why Darrelle Revis waited until almost the end of the season to get signed. Because a lot of people that watched Darrelle Revis last year play, his attitude said he was the guy that had made a lot of money and he didn't want to play anymore, and they saw a guy that it was over. And the Chiefs are so desperate, they took a 32-year-old who, at the tail end, started coming into camp not in peak condition. Well, if he's not in peak condition when he's expected to play at the start of the season, what kind of conditioning you think he's in now? Plays in the first half, he doesn't play a snap in the second half. This is very unfortunate. Peters, as you mentioned, Tony, he was frustrated, but I don't really think frustration should never allow you to do something like this.
I would have taken Darrelle Revis on my Dallas Cowboys from the start of the year and been very happy, and they might have won a couple of games that they blew in the stretch without Sean Lee. Just to put stamp on that. Now to this. I thought Marcus Peters checked out yesterday. I thought he just flat out said, I've had enough of this and them, and he's a terrific football player. No offense there. But I think he quit on his team, and I think his head coach, who is a player's coach, defended him after the game by saying, oh, he thought he was ejected. I don't think he thought he was ejected. I think he wanted to get ejected because he had had enough. And I can't really blame him for having had enough, but I can definitely blame him for walking off the field on your team. And then he came back when somebody ran to the locker room and said, you got to come back out. He came back dressed the way Shannon Sharpe dresses for Undisputed, with no socks, no socks. What did that tell you? He just said, I ain't going to play anymore. You can make me go back out there. But he spends the whole rest of the game, he's jawing with the Jets fans up in the stands. It's just a bad look.
Terrible look.
This isn't just free falling. This is hitting bottom. And ironically, they're still at the top when they hit bottom.
Right.
They're 6-6. And to your point, they got the easiest schedule left because they got 3 straight home games, Raiders, Chargers, and then Dolphins, and then they go to Denver. What's left of Denver?
Yeah.
So they have a chance to finish it off.
And think about it, Skip. Every time we hear last week when the Broncos and the Raiders got into it, 21 and 15 has been ejected. 92 has also been ejected for touching official. You hear the referee comes on, he let them know. Nobody heard that.
Nope.
So how would he assume that he's been ejected when no one told him he was ejected? He, as you had mentioned, he ejected himself.
He did.
Because Skip, there are a lot of penalties. You know, they call like a 7-8 stretch sequence. They had like 4 or 5 holding calls. Yeah. And he's like, I'm done.
Okay, I'm out.
I'm done.
Shannon, answer this. If you're Andy Reid, what do you say to them today in the locker room? Do you light into them?
Yeah.
Because don't you think you have to have that? We've been in those meetings before. They need that type of meeting.
I have to have a conversation. Guys, we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. But this behavior can never be accepted. You never accept anything in a win you wouldn't in a loss, and vice versa.
I think he has to have that talk with Marcus.
Yeah, I'm talking to but Skip, you're talking mainly to Marcus, but you're talking to the team. You're addressing the team, but the conversation you're having is mainly to him because he did it.
Would you do it in front of the team?
Yeah. Because Skip, I'm upset because we haven't been playing well as a unit. Now, this was boiling over, him throwing the flag up in the stands, but there's a reason why they've lost 6 or 7. They haven't been playing well, and then we thought it was like, and Alex Smith finally turned the corner. He played really well yesterday.
He was really good. He had a QBR like 96.
But the defense, what happened, Skip? What happened to the defense?
I don't know.
They can't get no pressure.
What happened on opening night? You win the battle, lose the war, so to speak, because you lost Eric Berry after he did a number on Gronk on that Thursday night.
And they couldn't block Justin Houston.
Nope.
When did
I don't know. Where'd he go?
This is, I'm telling you right now, as I'm thinking more, this might even be one of those players-only meetings where let's get the coaches out of the locker room because you're still there. You got a very good football team. You got good players. Something's going on in that locker room right now.
At 6-6, if you don't win the division, when you got 3 of your last 4 at home,
Okay, but do I think they're going to win it? I do not. I still think the Chargers are going to win it.
I think the Chargers are playing the best. The Chargers are one of the 3 best teams in the AFC right now, with the Steelers and New England.
They got the best defense in this division, and they have the hottest offense. It hadn't been all year, but it's hot now.
I'll take San Diego's quarterback. And you've always taken San Diego's quarterback over anybody else in this division.
Except they do play in L.A., but I forget.
I keep saying that.
It's okay, because they barely play in L.A. because they barely have any fans.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen to the Raiders, because when they go to Vegas, ain't nobody going to be calling them the Las Vegas. It's still.
Nope, they will be the Oakland Raiders in Las Vegas. I agree.
You have to add a little bit to it, yeah. Well, this is one of those seasons that if they don't turn it around, it's going to be one of those ones you regret forever, especially considering the way that they started. No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then. Fox Sports 1 of 1.